morning. Um, we are back on my mains plot, WildStar Sky Plaza, and we're going to pick up kind of where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we touched on um, water effects, like how you would set up like a pool or a tub or sink, aquarium, that kind of thing, and the different types of items we have at hand that you can use to simulate water. Um, while we do have water decor like the winding river and the waterfalls, they don't necessarily work for every situation that you might want to use them. Even if you're able to get them to look okay, maybe the sound effects that they have and such just don't really match what you're going for as far as ambience is concerned. So we still, a lot of us builders still rely on old approaches to water, such as using just the clear glass or other objects like the tiny blue crystal, folded shirt, some of the screens and display monitors and panels or whatever you want to call them. So we kind of went over that yesterday, and then we touched a little bit on I keep calling it the lamp shop. Really should be probably referring to it as the lighting shop, because it's not just lamps. It's going to be sconces, and of course today we're going to add some, at least one, maybe more, chandeliers, because I want to address all kinds of types of situations where people might want custom lighting features, such as lamps and chandeliers and such. I would point out that just like those pieces, actual like street lamp kind of things are perfectly qualified for making them as custom. These here are actually custom. It's 4 pieces to make these. You can see that I use the orange hanging lamp for the main part, the part that adds a little bit of light, although you can't really see it too much right now. But it's a fence post, the perimeter fence post. It actually has a rotating animated part, I believe, and I've just inset that into the ground so that you only see the part that I want to show. And then it's got a sparking wire for the main pole. And then to kind of connect the two pieces, the sparking wire and the actual hanging lamp, I have used a hanging cable short. So it's a custom street lamp thing. It's just me wanting to try. I could have used some existing ones. It's just I wanted to see if I could feasibly create one on my own. So that it looks different from everybody else's, and this is an example of how you could do that. So there's other types of lighting that probably won't be showcased too much in the shop, such as that, but I just like trying to experiment with putting things together to see if I can make new things, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to stick with this particular theme for a kind of lengthy period, because it frees up some time that I don't have to come up with an entire new plot, but that I can still experiment with putting pieces together. So where we left off yesterday was I mentioned some chandelier types. I've done a few, and we showed like you could just use an existing lamp, like the Heart collection table lamp. You just pop it onto the ceiling, and that creates a kind of a quickie alternative to using it just as a lamp. You could use it as a ceiling light, kind of a chandelier sort of thing. We do actually have chandelier items in the game. There's an Exile version, there's a Dominion version, there's a couple other ones. But, as with anything, sometimes those particular ones just don't match the decoration theme that you're going for, or you just want something unique, a little special. So one that I've built in the past, which I'm going to demonstrate today, Hey Rhoda, thanks for joining and appreciate the compliment on the house. Is one that I did in the past when I did my what was it called? The Tangled plot. Um, it was a plot based on the little animated film um, Tangled, and one of the things was there was a bar, and in the movie it's called the Snuggly Duckling, I think. Um, and for mine, I called it the Cuddly WildStar, and they had like makeshift chandeliers for the little tavern bar thing that they had. So I went with I can think of it. Yeah, there we go. The nautical wheel. And all I did was I started on the floor of the building that I was going to be putting it in. And for me, when I'm building something, and if I can avoid having to like get a staircase to reach it or whatever, I prefer building on the floor. So I'm going to build it here and then I'll lift it up later as a set. It's just easier. You can kind of walk around and look at it from all angles and not have to worry about, you know, trying to stretch your camera angle just so to get a good view. So you start out with the nautical wheel, and then I think I went with the hanging chains as the way that it would attach to the ceiling. So we're just gonna pop one out here. Now probably the best way is to just make sure that your original item is kind of square. You can rotate it later as a set. It's much easier to just kind of build it with simplified coordinates and things, rotation, than to build it crooked to begin with. I've done that even with entire houses when I've built things from scratch. It's always much easier to build it at, you know, the perfect 90, 180 degrees, and then turn it to something odd if you just want to. I do that with furniture, I do that with houses, everything. When it's, you know, feasible. Sometimes you just have to build it straight up, you know, in a crooked corner that you're actually filling up, but where possible, I keep it simple. Okay, so we have this item, and just looking for size that I want this at. Probably that. I'm going to just since it's already kind of at that one angle, I'm going to just put it in the center of this particular little division. Now you could put it, attach the chains to the handles out here. It's perfectly fine. I'm just opting to attach it around the main ring. My logic is that there's more stability on the ring than it is on the handles. I don't know if that's really accurate, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Now, again, those that have watched me in the past know I like kind of odd numbers. So rather than doing 4 chains, or even, you know, you could get elaborate and make a chain for each section if you want, but I'm going to keep it in 3s. So I'm going to put one there, and then just going to duplicate that over. And again, I don't really do too many calculations. I'm just eyeballing about where it is in the middle there. And then I'll put a 3rd one right here. Okay, now you could, again, leave them straight up and down, have it directly hanging from the ceiling straight up. But what I like to do is angle them so that they're meeting into the center here. Now, you could eyeball it, which sometimes I do, sometimes I prefer. But I'm going to give myself a little bit of a guide, so I'm just going to grab a pillar. It doesn't matter what kind, and I apparently have a ton of those. Not sure what I use them for, but apparently I use quite a few. And I'm just going to copy the transformation of the hole so that it gets in the center there. And I'm going to rotate the chains inward so that they meet up with the pillar in the center. Now it's probably not going to be accurate. As soon as I remove the pillar, you might see that some of the chains are a little off a little bit, but I'm getting them in the general vicinity that I want. These might be a little tougher because they're at an angle to the angle. And then for the last one, same thing, just a little too far, I think. I'm just putting it in about where it looks like it's matching up. And then I'll remove the pillar. And it's pretty close. You can see there's a little bit of a gap, and if you have to make slight adjustments after you remove the pillar, that's fine. One way to kind of hide the fact that they might not meet up perfectly is I do believe I used a hammer as like the little fixture at the top. So it's not just the chains just going directly into the ceiling. They actually had a little fixture at the thing. So we're just going to, well, that didn't quite work like I was expecting, but it'll do, it'll do. This way, no, that would be best. And I'm just kind of centering it up. It's a little off. The center mark for the hammer itself wasn't exactly right, so there's a little fixture now. Okay, then for the chandelier part, the lighting, for mine I just used candles. Like I said, candles are great just for visual purpose. They're great because they don't actually really give any light except the candle ritual circle, which gives an enormous amount of light. It's a little overpowered, and I don't like how it glows bright and then it dulls and then it glows bright. But the candles themselves, I'm just putting one of each out here so we can kind of play around with different ideas. They work nicely. Depending again on the theme that you're using, you could use probably other things. Maybe rather than using candles, you could just take the sconces, the orange sconce, and attach it to these arms and maybe turn them in a certain way that, you know, it looks a little niftier, and then maybe put like a big one in the center coming down. There's a lot of ways you can do it. I'm just using the candles because, again, they don't detract from your lighting count, so that's a big plus for them. So with the candles, I just randomly place. paste. Place them along this main ring of bracketry, or whatever you want to call it, around the wheel. And I varied the size. I rotated some. Some I would leave a certain way, especially when you're duplicating. You don't want to leave it the same for every single one that you use. So, you know, turn it a little bit. I don't think I gave it a specific number. I just put a few together and then decided, okay, that looks like enough. Definitely don't want it like intruding on the chain there. I don't want that one too tall. Some you could evenly space them out if you want to get that particular about it, but I think it's better, especially for the candles, that you don't evenly space them or clump them in a uniform way. Just kind of just randomly put them out there. I know I like odd numbers, and I'll probably put 3s or 5s of different ones, but you don't want to do that for all of them. I'll just keep it a little different. So that's a fair example. Kind of an even number altogether, but some have odd and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now comes the part of creating the set. Now, I would mention, yesterday I had a viewer ask me about the add-ons that I use. Now, if I recall rightly, they're all linked on my Twitch channel page. In the resources section, I have a link to all of the housing related add-ons that I use. The one specifically being Katya's Toolbox, or Builder's Toolkit. There we go. Katya's Builder's Toolkit add-on. That would be this one here. And it has pretty much any feature you can think of. It's got, it's got the copy, the cloning ability. You can link stuff. You can save your sets. It has individual item editors. It's got a shopper where you can preview every possible item in the game. This even got a way to visit plots directly and that kind of thing, based on features that you are specifically looking for. Like if you have been to a plot that has a particular expedition on it, or they have particular materials that you can farm from there, you can search it via that way. It has other tools like where you can do the difference in average, where you can find the center. If you have two objects and you want to put another object right in the direct center of the two, you can do that. The difference one is real great for staircase building and wall extensions and stuff like that. It also fixes a lot of buggy issues that still kind of linger in housing, like when you're having problems with the seating. Maybe your character's sitting on a seat backwards and that kind of stuff. So Katya pretty much covers it all, and she's continually updating it to incorporate more and more features or improving on the ones that are already there. The other two add-ons I use is from one of the actually from one of the devs, Carbine developer. named Lament. And this is the one that you see that pops up automatically when I select an item. And it's the one that I tend to use the most often for duplicating, like cloning an item. Obviously, if you don't have the item available, if it's not in my crate or a vendor because it's a craftable, or maybe I just ran out, it'll let you know that you can't do that. But for those that are purchasable off the vendor, or if you have multiples of already in your crate, it is, for me, the quickest way. Katya's, you actually have to type in /Katya to get the add-on to open up. I don't know if there's a setting that I can change to have it auto pop up, but while the add-on is very helpful, it does take up a lot of visual space here. I find it, especially when you start opening the set manager and everything, it just starts expanding and covering up a lot of things that I'm wanting to see. So I tend to not use it until I'm actually dealing with sets, or I'm looking to do a lot of specifically spaced copying, like for stairs or walls or things like that. When it's just straight up random cloning, like extra candles for this particular little thing, then Laments is my preferred. I believe it's the Decor Set Manager add-on for the main part of it, because Laments does have a set manager and everything, but the part that I use is the extension of that. It's supposed to work in conjunction with that main one, and that's called, I think it's the Toolbox Pro. But both of them are by Lament, and I just have both of them. I use all three. I have all three installed, and I tend to switch back and forth depending on my needs and purposes as to what I find more convenient. Like a lot of the linked sets that I make, either just because I want to save the set, or I want to maybe take say for example, I want this lamp on another plot of one of my alts or something, I will use Katya's for saving that set. But if I'm just wanting to quickly link a set, depending on what it is and how many pieces it is, sometimes I'll use Laments, because this one has an auto link thing, and it's pretty specific. Like, say this entire thing was made up of just candles, nothing else. I could say within a certain radius, link all the candles, and it will link them all up together, and it'll ignore everything else. Or you can do the whole plot with both of the add-ons and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of similarities between the two, but sometimes I find one more convenient than the other. So for those of you that are curious about the add-ons, I use those are the main three. And again, I have them linked on the Twitch channel page if you're interested, or you're welcome to message me, and I'll send you links to that. They're all available via Curse and that kind of thing. So as I said, I could use the automatically link nearby decor function here. The only reason I typically don't is sometimes it will pick up things that I don't want into the set if I just give it a radius. Sometimes it will pick up things that and yes, I can individually unlink them to the set, but since it's so few pieces, I'll probably just link it individually. That's tends to be my preference. So what I do is I use the single link. I don't use the link nearby decor. I use the other one. So I just click that, and then I click on the one that I want to use as the parent. And I'm going to use the wheel as the parent for this. So just going to go around picking all the little candle pieces. It's a little time consuming, but I prefer it. I have more control over what gets selected and what doesn't, and I don't have to sit there and think, okay, what size radius and all that. If it's the only thing on the plot, that's different, but Okay, so I think I have it all put in. Yeah, so everything's one little grouping. Now, if I wanted to save this set to use elsewhere, or if I wanted to duplicate it, then I would hop on to Catius, and I would use the tools, the set manager, and then I would create a new set. Currently, it puts it in the order, the first one you make stays number one, and so forth. So the latest ones will be at the end of the list. I've asked her to consider maybe setting it so that we could change the order, or that we can type in the number and it automatically calls up the one that we want. That way I can kind of keep a catalog somewhere else and just easily find it. But if I wanted to create this, then I would find an empty number, give it a title like chandelier or candlelight or something, and then just say add linked set. And what that means is it will take the wheel, the parent, and it will remember that all of these other pieces are linked to it, so that the next time that you place and link the set, it will be to that same parent. If you're just wanting to duplicate in the same room, you can just take the parent, move it off, reposition it, and then you can do a place all link and it'll put the next one in the original location. What I usually do though is if I'm looking to duplicate, I will leave the original where it is. I'll place all link the new set, and then I'll just click off of it to deselect the group, and then I click back on it to select one of the set pieces and just move off, and it'll leave the original and I'll just move the new copy. Either or works. Now, since I raised it up, we can see that the chains are a little pokey outy here. So the best way to do that is to make sure it's on objects, so that when you move it the way you're wanting, it stays at the same angle that you originally wanted it. And again, this is where the hammer head comes in handy. It hides any of that extra bit of chain that may, eventually kind of poke through. I'm just going to raise them up so that it's not poking out the sides on the wheel. Okay, and then we're just going to lift it up to the ceiling. And you can put it up as high as you want. If you want just the head of the hammer showing, if you want it all the way to the end of the hammer showing, that kind of thing, perfectly fine. I think we'll leave it like that, so it's a little bit more easily spotted that that's what I'm using as part of the chandelier there. So there's the nautical wheel, wagon wheel looking chandelier. Again, you can put as many candles as you want. You could put them just on the ends. You could hang other things off of the ends. Like I said, you could use maybe the orange sconces or something to actually give the chandelier some actual light. This is best if you want kind of a bit of a darkened kind of atmosphere kind of thing. So that's that one. Excuse me. So that's an example of one chandelier. I was trying to come up with some ideas for some other ones that we could play around with. I'm going to move this over here a little bit so we have room for another one hanging up. And I really like the hover part pieces, so I was trying to think of something that I could use for that, just to make something a little more artsy kind of style. So what I really liked was the when you using like a really thick hover part piece. That's the full pipe. It's a pretty bulky piece, but the half pipes are a little bit finer. The only thing is, you know, you have that little trench kind of thing, which is kind of funny because I'm actually using half pipes for the building here. If I was using full pipes, this would be double thickness. And I really didn't want the building to be super bulky. I wanted to keep, you know, I like the space between the floors. That way, if I put something into the roof, it doesn't automatically poke out through the floor of the next level. But I didn't want it being too thick. So these are actually half pipe pieces. And I've just doubled them up. I had to flip them over and line them up just so that it looks like it's a solid piece, but it really isn't. They're hollow on the interior. And it's two pieces to make one section. So, but I think what we'll do is I'm going to look for the half pipe, and I want the curved, but I want, I think we'll go with the ascend. And maybe we'll get an idea of what I'm aiming for here. Only thing I hate about these pieces is the controllers stay way out away from them. So when you're rotating them around, you get lost as to where the little handles are. Now I'm having to make this pretty small. So keep in mind when you do that, generally speaking, the further away you are, the less visible it'll probably be. Yeah, it disappears at a certain distance. So, you know, if you have this really big grand ballroom or something, this type of chandelier might not be the best for like a screenshot kind of thing, but we're going to play with the idea anyway. So again, I'm going to start off with it kind of at a straight, and then we're going to duplicate it. We're going to, where is that? Almost here. We're going to rotate it, but we also have to lift it so that it's like a continual little track. And what I'm going for is kind of like a spiral kind of thing. I could probably use Catias to just do the difference kind of thing, but I really just want to, I prefer having control over, I don't trust the little auto calculation stuff all the time, so I just tend to do it like this most of the time. Probably like a no-no kind of thing, but that's just the way I am. For it that way. Now I don't want to end it at the same place. I'm probably going to bring it all the way to around here, so I get one nice bit of curl going on, but I don't want to end it at the same spot. Now again, it's probably not exact because I'm just eyeballing it, so it'll be off a little bit. Oh, where'd that thing go? I don't know where that went. Might be because I'm standing too close or something. Keeps giving me the housing action failed. Try it one more time. I'll move out of the way. No, it's just not letting me do it there for some reason. Try this one. There we go. I don't know, I didn't like copying that one for whatever reason. Strange little thing. A little bit of a gap there, doesn't it? Well, I'll just leave it. This is just an example after all. Okay, so one more, I think. Here's the control. There we go. It doesn't like copying this one for some reason. Let's do this. There we go. Now, I think the idea with this one is I'm going to have it hanging from one end. And I don't know if you've seen the chandeliers. It's kind of like a little bouncy kind of thing. You could have the lights applied to the bottom, but I think we're going to do candles along the tubing or whatever you want to call it. Hey Soccer, hey Fungi, thanks for joining us. So what we'll do is we're just going to lay in some more candles. Again, I like using the candles because it doesn't count towards your lighting limit. So when I'm just kind of giving examples and stuff, it's my go-to item for lighting because it doesn't cost me anything other than decor space, which I kind of tend to keep okay anyway. Just want to make sure that they're good and straight and at a nice size. The main thing is you don't want them doing like this, poking through the bottom. Unless it's the look you're going for, of course, but I don't want mine poking through the bottom. This one will probably have to shrink quite a bit because it'll probably be too big. Some of these you'll probably be able to better see once you put it up onto the ceiling. Hey Patience, good morning. Thanks guys for joining me. I'm surprised I have so many people dropping by. I didn't even get to tweet today because every time I tried to visit Twitter, it kept giving me some kind of error page. I don't know what's going on with that thing. It did that yesterday, but it eventually started working. Oops. Let's reload. Sometimes when you get the housing action failed error, it kind of messes up your UI, so you have to kind of redo that. What causes that error? I have no clue, but it is rather annoying. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this one before I move it, and then I'm just going to start plopping it down in different places. Again, you could do it uniform if you want to go short, tall, medium, short, tall, medium, short, tall, medium, all the way around. That's up to you. If you want them evenly spaced, you know, so many coordinate numbers between each one, that's also fine. I'm just going to kind of mishmash it. Again, I'm not going to really check the bottoms of the candles too much until we lift it up. This might look a little dangerous because it's like going to catch itself on fire, but I think that just a little bit so it doesn't look too hazardous. And again, just eyeballing what looks good to me. I'm going to put that there. Let's add this one. We're going to shrink it down. Another little one. So that one up. Probably not going to be perfect on the inside of the track because the track is also slanting downward, and of course if I make it mesh well for one end of the candle, the other is going to be a little lifty, but I don't want to turn the candle crooked because then it looks weird if it's kind of sitting a little angled. You want the candles to be straight up and down. So with it, the track being kind of above the person's eye level, I think it'll be all right. And that one there. Let's see. Do a tall one. Just changing the size, rotating them around a little differently, keeping the placement really loose. Let's see. I think one right around. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so I'm going to try and show an example of how Lament's little radius thing works. So I'm going to pick the top bit as the parent for this particular thing. And actually, I'm probably going to need to move this one candle. Maybe both of these. We're going to move them down. Because I think part of this one is going to have to go up into the ceiling. Looks like it's attached. Rearrange this just a little bit. That's good. So we're going to use this one as the parent. So you grab that one first, and then you hit the automatically link nearby decor, and you will see this radius ring pop up. And it's already set to a radius of 10. But I don't want it to include all of these items within that large radius, so I'm going to knock it down until it's a little bit more just this area here. Now, I do believe the radius that you have it set for horizontally includes the vertical too. So hopefully it will encompass this entire thing. So I'm going to link all the decor within this radius to that parent that I've selected. Now, if I just wanted just the curvy part, the hover part piece, then I could select link only like decor, and then it will only select those pieces nearby that are similar. I would assume that means the same exact name. So it's not going to, you know, if I selected one of the candles and said link only like decor, I don't think it would select all of the candles. I think it would only select maybe the medium one if that's the parent that I chose, that kind of thing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But I just want to link all of the decor, regardless of name and everything, to this one piece in that radius. So I'm going to link it, and you'll see it kind of like a second or two. It kind of worked a little bit. I was just doing its thing, and it should be all of these pieces and the candles as well as one set. Fingers crossed. Now, didn't include the candles. I think that's because that's one little quirk about Laments. I believe if you do a link only like decor and then you come back to it, it thinks that it's still doing that. So I'm going to see if that's correct. I'm going to unlink all the children of this. I'm going to go back to the automatically link nearby decor. I'm going to select link only, and then I'm going to deselect. Oops. Try it again. See if it picks up the candles this time. For whatever reason, if you use Laments add-on and you say select only the like items, and then later on you want to select everything, it still thinks it's selected for some reason. So if I did it right, it should. Yeah, I picked up the candles this time. I don't know why it does that, but it's something to remember. If you ever use that link only like decor function, the next time you use it, you'll have to select it and deselect it to make sure it doesn't think it's still that way. So just word of caution on that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this up there. I may actually want to extend it one more ring just so that it has a little bit going up inside the ceiling. This is so awkward because the handlebars are way over there. Because I don't want the big candle going up into the ceiling. So I'm going to place that. I'm going to duplicate. Awkward. Wish you could kind of manipulate how the lights are, the handlebars for the controls are sorted. Let's probably one more, I guess. Have that go completely into the ceiling there. Oops. There we go, something like that. And then I'm going to link these two to that one. So that's, whoops, red. I linked that to the wrong thing. Yeah, it should all be of the same. I feel a sneeze coming on. Oh, it burns. There you go. There's a funky, weird little chandelier thing. Again, you'll want to look up and you'll see all of the candles that are poking through and just kind of lift them up just enough so that they're not poking. Just a bit of a cosmetic thing. Maybe you like the design where the bottoms are showing through. That's entirely up to you if that's the case. For me, I think it looks cleaner with the bottoms. Okay, get them all. Most. There's a kind of a different funky way of making a chandelier. It's would probably be nice for like a ballroom kind of thing, or maybe above a grand dining table, have a couple of different ones like that. Just really depends on the look. This looks a little bit more flowy and elegant looking, and this one looks more like you would find in a tavern kind of thing. If you want, you could probably fill in a couple more short candles just to kind of round that off a little bit. And so yeah, that's a couple of examples of chandeliers, mostly using candles. I know it's kind of redundant, but like I said, if you get to using actual lights, then you have to really consider the decor count with the limit of the lights. We only have a 40, and while I do have a few left, I don't want to use them up in this way, so I'm sticking with the candles because just easier to get around that. So yeah, there's some more examples for our light shop. Tomorrow we won't be doing any of the actual building. Tomorrow is Wednesday, of course, so that means we'll be having some more house tours. I believe we'll probably start with Exile side. I haven't been on Dominion side since visiting some of the winter plots there, so I haven't really been doing any visiting, so I'm going to have to really kind of dig in to see if I can start finding some new homes to go through. And of course, it being a new month, I really probably should go through the housing list to confirm all of the houses are still available for viewing. I would remind everyone that uses those public home listings that there is still the buggy issue that some plots will say player cannot be found or player does not exist. It's one of those. That doesn't necessarily mean that it actually isn't there. I have been in situations where I am standing right next to a guildmate who's on my plot or something, and I try to visit their plot, and it will say that player does not exist, even though I can actually see the person standing right next to me. So it's not a reliable method of knowing if someone has, because there are the instances where someone may just delete their character or they rename it and it would give the same error. But there are those that actually still exist, still have the house, the character name is the same, and it still gives you that error sometimes. So it's an unreliable way for me to know if that plot exists still. That's unfortunate because that could mean that there are more and more homes on those lists that you just can't access anymore. But until I can confidently say, yeah, that house is on the fritz and gone for good, I hesitate to remove it. So if you know of someone that's changed their character's name, some of the owners have actually been nice enough to let me know when that happens so that I can update their listing. But not everybody knows about the list or even realizes that they're on it. So it's just one of those things. What I may end up having to do is actually start mailing some of those that consistently come up as there does not exist and try and find out if I can even mail them. I assume if I can't, that means the character's actually gone, and then I'll have to just remove them. But in the meantime, take it with a grain of salt. If you find a house that says player does not exist, try it again later. Usually the error kind of corrects itself after a few days. I've had it happen for about 3, I think is the longest. But it could fix itself within a matter of hours. So it's just a kind of being, persistent when trying to visit them. But they're due for another big check update, see if there's any that I need to remove. Because I think it was either last month or the month before, I removed like over 60 homes that most of them had gone private. And I think it was mostly due to the free-to-play transition. A lot of people closed down because with the new, bigger plots, it kind of messed a lot of people's places up. So I don't expect that big of a change, but we'll see. And so yeah, I'll probably exiles tomorrow for the tours, and then Thursday or Friday we'll come back to the plaza. But I'll pick a different shop that we can work on, maybe the chair shop or something. I don't know. It just depends on what kind of spurs my imagination as far as coming up with new things that we can put together. Maybe the toys, because I think I actually have one pedestal thing in here that's empty. Yeah. I don't have anything sitting on it yet. I have the little toy plane and there's a wagon over here, but I don't have anything on this one. So we might try the toy shop for Thursday and Friday, come up with some new little toys that we can make and see if we can make some interesting little doodads. I would mention too, I'm considering removing the very top tier of the water fountain, mostly because it disappears at a distance. See how it's kind of faded out already? And this is like a prime spot for screenshots for folks, and I don't want that being an issue. So I'm considering removing this top one and just leaving it 3 tiers. Kind of works for my odd number preference anyway. So if you see that 4th one goes bye-bye, that would be why. See how it just kind of it disappears, and I hate that, but can't control the rendering things. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. I hope you had fun. Maybe it gave some ideas for little lighting tricks and things that you might want to try on your own plot. Like I said, for most of these things, there's like multitudes of ways you can go with it. It's just really you're limited by your own imagination. If some of my little musings help spur your ideas, all the better. That is one of the purposes for this stream, so I hope it helps. Again, welcome any suggestions and stuff. If people have questions, you can contact me in-game, on Twitch, on Twitter, on the forum. I'm virtually accessible in many ways, so, you know, no excuses. But if you have questions, you know, just want to talk about your own plot, make suggestions for things you'd like to see put together. I don't really do tutorials specifically. I've had a few people ask for that, but I'm happy to kind of explain how I do certain things and throw out some, you know, brainstorm some ideas and stuff. But I really don't want to go through the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, because it's a different experience for each item that you make. There's lots of give and take as far as where you're putting it, what you're using to build it with, and why you're building it here, and the size that you make it, and what it's going with, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't think there's a specific, you know, 12-step program for every kind of item that you could build. It's just kind of a general thing. But, you know, if you have special requests, I'm happy to try and take that on if possible. As far as the add-ons that I use, Katya has a demo video showing some of the earlier features, and I've been encouraging her to update that with all of the new features that she has on her add-on. But those kind of things take time, and not everybody is keen on or even has the ability of making snazzy videos and stuff. So fingers crossed that that becomes a reality sometime. But I think most of her focus is on improving the add-on rather than thoroughly explaining how to use it. Now, I do know if you're on entity side, she does, or at least I know she did, some actual one-on-one kind of classes. So if you're on entity side, specifically probably on Exile faction, you could probably contact her and see if she's still hosting some of those classes. There was a bit of discussion that she was going to try and do the same on EU side, but that never really panned out. I don't know if it was because there wasn't a whole big amount of interest. There was maybe like a handful of people that said that they might be interested in participating in that. But for sure, if you're on entity side and can get a hold of Katya on one of her many alts or her main, be sure and drop her a line. You could probably contact her through the forums and stuff as well. And ask her about that, because for someone like me, if you want to try and learn from me, don't, because I don't use the tool to its full capacity by any means, and there's still a lot of stuff that I'm not certain of myself. But hopefully either she or someone that's really familiar with all of the features of her add-on will put together some kind of a how-to video. I even suggested to her that maybe she break it down into, you know, make it a series and do it in bite-sized chunks to make it a little easier on her, and so that people can look up specific features that they're wanting to learn about. Maybe they already know about the copy-paste stuff, but they're still a little confused about the difference and the other tool. I don't even remember the name, but but yeah, if anything, you know, contact her, say you'd be interested in seeing videos and things like that. So maybe the more people encourage her and show their interest, that they would really love that kind of a more in-depth look at her add-on and how to use it, she will be that much more enticed into following through on it, or at least making a deal with someone to set some stuff up with her input, and then them make the videos for her. But yeah, in the meantime, the best thing I could do, if you want to try out the add-ons that you see me using, just install them and play with them. Like I said, there is a really old demo that will get you some of the basic functions. and then just kind of experiment with the rest. Do it on a plot that you're really not um, attached to. Get an alt and just kind of play around with different things on there until you get confident with the tool itself. And yeah, that's really, it's like a learning on the job kind of thing. Anyway, I think I've rattled on long enough. Again, thank you for joining. I appreciate all of the likes, the follows, the tweets, the retweets, and of course, the support. It's always a joy to hear that folks either find a renewed love of housing through these videos, or they feel compelled to give it a try because of the videos. That's always a great thing. So I appreciate your time and look forward to building some new stuff with you later on. Again, tomorrow is house tours, so if you're interested in seeing other people's work, tired of looking at mine, be sure to join us then. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.